The New England Patriots have quietly made one of those moves that, at first glance, might fly under the radar, but, as the season unfolds, could end up being a real masterstroke. This is the kind of addition that doesn't grab headlines immediately, doesn't have the flash of a first-round superstar, but when you look closer, you realize it addresses a crucial area that has been an issue for the team over the past seasons: depth. Depth in football isn't glamorous. It doesn't show up in highlight reels or viral clips, but it is the backbone of a championship-contending roster, the kind of thing that separates teams that stumble when injuries hit from those that keep rolling through adversity. And this year, one of the Patriots' moves perfectly embodies that philosophy. Let's talk about Kavon Chason. Now, if you're not intimately familiar with his story, it's worth breaking down. He's an edge rusher, a 2020 first-round draft pick from LSU. That kind of pedigree comes with high expectations, but Chason's journey in the NFL has been anything but straightforward. His career started with promise in Jacksonville, but injuries, specifically a meniscus issue that compounded a previous college knee injury, derailed his early trajectory. By the time his rookie contract ended, the Jaguars weren't ready to extend, and suddenly a player once heralded as a top-tier pass rusher was navigating the precarious waters of the NFL fringe. Practice squads, short-term contracts, and the constant uncertainty of whether he'd ever stick. Chason's path took him from the Panthers' practice squad to the Raiders, where he eventually got time on the active roster. And while the stats from those seasons might not jump off the page, last year was significant for him. He posted what could be called his best professional performance to date. Not superstar numbers, but enough to signal to the Patriots front office that he was worth taking a calculated chance on. They signed him to a one-year, $5 million deal, a typical Patriots contract, low risk financially, but high in potential reward strategically. The beauty of this move isn't just that it adds talent, it adds flexibility. It gives the Patriots a reliable rotational option on the defensive line, someone who can step in when Keion White or Harold Landry need a breather or when a matchups call for a different look. What makes Chason particularly intriguing is his ability to provide impact beyond what the stat sheet shows. Take, for example, a moment from a recent game against the Vikings. Chason pressured quarterback Sam Howell in a situation where, honestly, Howell probably should have taken the sack. Instead, the quarterback tried to make a play, and the result was a turnover. That kind of presence, that ability to disrupt a game without making the highlight reel, is exactly what depth pieces like Chason bring to a roster. And while some might dismiss it because it was a preseason performance, the underlying truth is this: the guy can play. He has proven he can contribute, and in a league where rotations, injuries, and matchups dictate success, having someone like Chason available is invaluable. The Patriots have struggled with depth in the past. Last season, both on offense and defense, the lack of reliable backups cost them in key moments. On the defensive side, they often had to turn to players who weren't fully ready or capable, and it showed in critical situations. A strong depth piece like Chason doesn't just plug a hole, it elevates the players around him. When the interior defensive line is solid, when the edge rushers have competent rotation options, the entire defense operates more effectively. Players like Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, and others on the defensive front will benefit from Chason's presence because it allows for strategic substitutions and keeps the starters fresh. This is also about opportunity. Chason might not end up being a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro, and he might never live up to the hype of his first-round draft status. But his journey shows that potential can be realized in different ways. Sometimes the measure of success isn't in accolades. It's in reliability, versatility, and the ability to step up when called upon. The Patriots recognize that, and their timing in signing him is no coincidence. A rotational player with experience, coming off a productive season, and familiar with overcoming adversity fits the exact mold of what this team needs to stabilize the defensive depth chart. And this isn't just about Chason individually. It's a reflection of the front office's approach. They're building a roster with thoughtfulness, understanding that in the NFL, injuries aren't a question. They're a certainty. The ability to maintain performance when starters are sidelined separates contenders from pretenders. In recent years, We've seen teams falter simply because they lacked competent backups. The Patriots, by contrast, are proactively filling gaps, ensuring that every rotation spot has a player capable of holding his own. Chason is a prime example, but the same philosophy applies across the roster. Even in other areas, this strategy shows its value. Look at the offensive line from last season. Depth, or the lack thereof, was glaringly evident. Injuries forced players into positions they weren't fully prepared for, and the ripple effect was felt on both sides of the ball. This season, with additions like Chason on defense and careful moves on offense, the Patriots are signaling that they've learned from those mistakes. They are emphasizing readiness, versatility, and reliability over headline-grabbing signings. It's a quiet approach, but one with significant long-term payoff. In the preseason, you can already see glimpses of how Chason fits into the bigger picture. His ability to pressure the quarterback, to create disruption even in limited snaps, is the kind of contribution that doesn't always make the box score, but absolutely changes the dynamics of a game. This is a player who can rotate in and out, support the starters, and maintain intensity without losing the team's defensive cohesion. And while we're not predicting stardom, the importance of having someone like Chason cannot be overstated. Depth players may not headline the news, but they make the difference when the season stretches into November and December and a margin for error and errors. It's also worth noting that the Patriots' approach to contracts complements this roster philosophy. A one-year deal, modest in financial terms but strategically sound, allows them to gauge performance without long-term risk. If Chason thrives, they have flexibility to reward him further. If things don't pan out, the cap space remains intact, and the team hasn't compromised its ability to pursue other needs. This is smart roster management, and it underscores the organization's broader philosophy. Sustainable competitiveness through calculated moves rather than chasing immediate hype. Beyond Chason, the team is quietly developing talent across the board. Players who may have flown under the radar during draft weekend or preseason reports are slowly carving out their roles. Quarterbacks, linemen, special teams contributors, all these pieces matter. And while the spotlight often shines on the marquee names, the Patriots' strength has always been in the sum of their parts, in the collective depth and discipline of the roster. Chason fits that model perfectly. A player who understands his role, brings a level of professionalism, and elevates those around him without demanding the spotlight. And when you watch the game unfold, moments like the one against the Vikings remind you why depth is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Chason's pressure forced a turnover, a play that doesn't show up in traditional statistics but has tangible impact on field position, momentum, and confidence. It's these subtle contributions that often go unnoticed but accumulate into meaningful advantages over a full season. For teams like the Patriots, who value preparation, discipline, and strategic depth, players like Chason are foundational to the kind of consistent performance that defines playoff contenders. This narrative also connects to the broader principle of resilience in the NFL. Injuries, matchup shifts, and game day unpredictability mean that depth is not optional, it's survival. Teams that have competent backups, rotational options, and versatile contributors can weather storms that might cripple less prepared squads. Chason is emblematic of that mindset. He may not be the centerpiece, but he embodies the reliability, readiness, and potential that allows a team to maintain high performance under pressure. Even if we look beyond Chason, the message is clear. The Patriots are constructing a roster with attention to these subtle yet critical details. It's not about flashy signings or instant headlines. It's about building a team that can sustain success through the grueling, unpredictable reality of an NFL season. And if Chason continues on the trajectory we've already seen glimpses of, he will not only validate this approach, but also serve as a tangible example of how calculated depth acquisitions can shift the balance of a team's competitive edge. Shifting from Kavon Chason, the Patriots' strategy on the defensive front doesn't stop at a single depth signing. There's a broader philosophy at work here, one that underscores how Bill Belichick's roster-building mindset has evolved in recent years. In the past, we've seen New England rely on superstar draft picks, and top free agents to carry the weight. But now the emphasis is more on versatility, adaptability, and maximizing the contributions of players who might not initially attract widespread attention. This is a subtle but significant shift, and it's evident when you analyze how the team has approached not just the defensive line, but also the linebacker core and secondary. Take the linebackers, for instance. The Patriots have quietly assembled a group that blends youth, experience, and specialized skill sets. Players like Christian Barmore and Jawan Bentley provide reliability, but the coaching staff has also invested in players who can rotate into multiple positions without disrupting the scheme. This kind of flexibility is invaluable, especially in an era where offenses are increasingly complex and mobile quarterbacks force defenses to constantly adjust. A linebacker today has to be able to drop into coverage one snap and play the run the next. And the Patriots have made it a priority to have multiple athletes capable of that dual responsibility. Depth here doesn't just mean having extra bodies. It's about strategic alignment. A rotational player like Chason isn't interchangeable in the traditional sense. His skill set is designed to complement the starting edge rushers, to create situational pressure, and to provide fresh legs when the defense needs a spark. Similarly, the Patriots linebackers are being used not just for coverage or blitzing, but as chess pieces that can manipulate offensive game plans. This is why depth becomes more than a backup plan. It becomes an extension of the playbook itself. The secondary reflects this philosophy as well. New England has invested in cornerbacks and safeties who are versatile enough to handle multiple coverage schemes. Last season, one of the biggest weaknesses for the team was adapting to motion-heavy, fast-paced offenses. Receivers would shift formations, and corners or safeties would be left scrambling. This season, with a combination of returning starters and new acquisitions, the secondary appears more cohesive and prepared to handle modern offensive complexity. Depth in the secondary isn't just a contingency. It's a tactical tool, allowing the Patriots to disguise coverages and maintain pressure on quarterbacks without sacrificing defensive integrity. Even on special teams, depth matters more than most fans realize. A kickoff returner, a gunner, a blocking specialist. These roles might seem minor, but they can swing field position, momentum, and ultimately, outcomes in critical games. The Patriots' focus on acquiring players who can fill multiple roles ensures that no matter who is unavailable due to injury or situational substitution, there's no dramatic drop in performance. In a league where one bad special teams play can erase weeks of effort, this attention to depth is a direct reflection of strategic foresight. Offensively, the story is equally compelling. The Patriots have long been known for their quarterback-centric approach, but there's also a growing recognition that success hinges on surrounding talent. This isn't just about having star receivers. It's about ensuring the offensive line can rotate effectively, that tight ends can handle multiple schemes, and that running backs can adjust to a fluid game plan. Injuries in the offensive line have historically been a stumbling block, but the Patriots' current depth approach mitigates this risk. Players who might have been backups in previous seasons now have clearly defined roles, allowing the offense to maintain tempo, sustain drives, and minimize disruption when starters are unavailable. This philosophy becomes even more critical when considering the nature of the NFL season. Unlike other sports, football's physical demands are extreme, and the margin for error is slim. A single injury to a starter can have cascading effects across the roster. In past seasons, we've seen teams falter when backups were forced into extended roles. New England's proactive approach, signing players like Chason, reinforcing linebackers, and emphasizing versatile contributors, reflects an understanding that depth is not a luxury. It's a survival mechanism. The Patriots aren't just preparing for injuries. They're preparing for the game-to-game tactical shifts that define playoff-level football. Beyond immediate performance, there's also the psychological component. A roster with strong depth fosters competition, keeps starters sharp, and reinforces accountability. Players know that if they underperform, competent alternatives are ready to step in. This dynamic encourages consistent effort and reduces the likelihood of complacency, which can be fatal over a 17-game season. Depth, therefore, is as much about culture as it is about talent, It cultivates resilience, adaptability, and mental toughness across the team. It's also important to note how this approach affects contract strategy. The Patriots have shown an aptitude for structuring deals that maximize roster flexibility. One-year contracts, performance-based incentives, and modest guarantees allow the team to maintain financial agility while still rewarding productive players. Chason's contract is emblematic of this strategy. Low risk, potentially high reward. If he exceeds expectations, the team can retain him without being constrained by cap space. If he meets expectations or falters, the financial exposure is minimal. This approach contrasts sharply with franchises that invest heavily in single stars without ensuring sustainable depth behind them, a gamble that often backfires when injuries or performance issues arise. From a game planning perspective, depth also allows Belichick and his coordinators to be more creative. With versatile backups, they can implement packages that adjust to opposing schemes on the fly. Edge rotations can be tailored to exploit weaknesses. Linebackers can shift responsibilities without compromising coverage, and defensive backs can rotate seamlessly. In essence, a deep, flexible roster extends the playbook and creates strategic unpredictability. Opponents may prepare for a starting lineup, but the Patriots' ability to substitute effectively ensures that the tactical landscape remains dynamic, making game planning against them exponentially more complex. Moreover, this depth-driven approach has implications for player development. By giving backups meaningful roles and rotational snaps, the Patriots ensure that talent continues to evolve throughout the season. Practice squads aren't just holding pens. They're developmental platforms where players like Chason can refine techniques, adjust to the pace of NFL competition, and gain confidence. When injuries inevitably arise, these players are ready to contribute immediately, reducing the performance gap between starters and reserves. This emphasis on development ensures long-term sustainability and keeps the team competitive over multiple seasons, not just the current campaign. Historically, Belichick has always emphasized preparation, discipline, and situational awareness, but the current roster strategy enhances these principles. Depth isn't just a fallback. It's a proactive tool that amplifies the team's strengths and compensates for potential weaknesses. In many ways, this reflects an evolution in organizational philosophy. The understanding that modern football is won not by single stars alone, but by a cohesive, well-prepared, and adaptable collective. Chason's signing and the broader roster construction are prime examples of how the Patriots are applying this philosophy practically and effectively. Looking at the broader league context, New England's approach sets them apart. Many teams focus heavily on marquee signings or rely on top draft picks to carry the weight. The Patriots, by contrast, emphasize layered contributions, situational specialists, and rotational depth. This methodology may not always be glamorous, and it rarely captures national headlines, but it's precisely what separates consistently competitive franchises from those that experience boom and bust cycles. By building a roster that can withstand injuries, adapt to opponent strategies, and maintain performance throughout the season, New England is positioning itself for both immediate success and long-term sustainability. Even as we analyze individual contributions, the overarching theme remains clear: depth equals resilience. It's not about who makes the highlight reel, but who can consistently execute their role, contribute in multiple scenarios, and maintain the team's structural integrity. From the defensive front to the linebackers, secondary, offensive line, and even special teams, the Patriots roster is meticulously crafted to withstand adversity. Each addition, from Chason to other rotational players, reflects a deliberate, strategic mindset designed to preserve competitive advantage week after week. As the season progresses, the impact of these depth decisions will become increasingly evident. Injuries will occur, matchups will demand adjustments, and rotations will be tested. The Patriots, with their carefully constructed depth, are prepared not just to survive these challenges but to thrive within them. The players themselves understand their roles. The coaches have built systems to maximize every contribution, and the organizational philosophy ensures that no single injury or tactical shift can derail the team's trajectory. This is depth in its truest sense. Not merely a backup plan, but a proactive mechanism for sustained excellence. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our New England Patriots. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL world has been turned upside down after the shocking revelation that Lamar Jackson, the former MVP and face of Baltimore football for years, has officially put pen to paper with the New England Patriots. Rumors had swirled for months that Jackson was growing frustrated with his former team's inability to surround him with the offensive firepower he craved, but very few believed he would take his electrifying talents to Foxborough. Yet here we are, and the signing has lit up social media, sports talk shows, and fan forums like wildfire. Patriots supporters, who had endured a period of mediocrity since the departure of Tom Brady, are now buzzing with hope, daring to believe the dynasty might be reignited under the arm and legs of one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in football history. Skeptics point out that Jackson's style is vastly different from the traditional pocket passers the Patriots have thrived with in the past. But head coach Bill Belichick is already being described as a mastermind capable of reshaping the offensive system to maximize the unique skill set of his new superstar. Whatever the case, the NFL landscape has shifted dramatically with this bombshell signing. The news broke in a way that felt almost surreal. Insiders whispered it late into the night, with only fragments of information escaping before the full confirmation hit the press. One moment fans were arguing about whether the Patriots would draft a quarterback to replace their struggling signal caller. And the next moment, reports emerged that Belichick himself had personally pushed ownership to make an aggressive move. Witnesses claim negotiations happened at lightning speed, with Jackson and his representatives impressed by the seriousness and commitment of New England's front office. The Patriots, known for their strict, disciplined culture, were said to have offered not just a lucrative contract, but also a clear vision of how the team could be reshaped around Jackson's dynamic playmaking. Some insiders are calling it a calculated risk, while others are convinced it's a masterstroke that will redefine the franchise. Fans from rival AFC East teams are reportedly stunned, with Buffalo and Miami supporters already expressing concern that their path to the playoffs just became significantly more complicated. The buzz is overwhelming, and analysts say the NFL has rarely seen a player of Jackson's caliber switch teams in such dramatic fashion. Many around the league are now speculating about what the Patriots' offense will look like with Jackson at the helm. Traditionally, New England has favored a precision-based passing system built around short throws, smart route running, and relentless execution. However, Jackson brings a dimension the Patriots have not possessed in decades: the ability to turn a broken play into a highlight reel touchdown with his speed and elusiveness. Former players have already chimed in, some suggesting that Belichick has been waiting for an opportunity to reinvent his offense in a way that leaves defensive coordinators guessing at every snap. Imagine the chaos defenses will face when they must decide whether to guard against Jackson's quick release or his breathtaking scrambles. Insiders are saying the Patriots are already in discussions with free agent receivers who want to be part of this new era, while draft analysts predict the team will prioritize versatile offensive linemen who can adapt to a fast-paced, ever-changing playbook. If executed properly, this offense could be unstoppable, forcing rivals to rethink their defensive strategies entirely. Even skeptics who doubt Jackson's durability or consistency admit the potential is frightening. The whispers are growing louder that the Patriots could be building something that shocks the entire league. Of course, with such a dramatic move comes inevitable controversy and second-guessing. Some critics argue that Jackson's history of injuries could make this deal dangerous for a team that prides itself on stability. Others question whether his high-energy, improvisational style can coexist with Belichick's famously rigid, detail-oriented approach. Yet sources close to the negotiations insist that the Patriots were fully aware of these concerns and are already taking steps to mitigate them. Word has it that Belichick and offensive coordinator staff have been studying film of Jackson for months, designing plays that highlight his strengths while minimizing his exposure to unnecessary hits. Players in the locker room are reportedly thrilled with many calling this a turning point after years of uncertainty at quarterback. The New England fan base, too, has reacted with sheer joy, with ticket demand already spiking and merchandise sales soaring overnight. Rival fans may scoff, predicting chaos and disappointment, but the air of excitement in Foxborough is undeniable. Some pundits even speculate this move could extend Belichick's career, giving him a chance to craft one last, iconic chapter with a quarterback unlike any he has ever coached before. What cannot be ignored is the ripple effect this signing will have across the NFL. Already, rival franchises are scrambling to reassess their rosters and strategies. The AFC East, once considered Buffalo's division to dominate, now looks like a battlefield where every matchup with New England will carry playoff implications. Television networks are reportedly racing to adjust schedules, eager to feature Jackson's debut in primetime slots that guarantee massive ratings. Sports agents are whispering that free agents may now prefer the Patriots, drawn by the chance to play with Jackson and chase championships. Meanwhile, Baltimore finds itself in a state of shock, with fans mourning the loss of their franchise star and wondering how the team could allow such a departure. The narrative of betrayal and rebirth, of one city losing hope while another rediscovers it, has already taken hold. No matter how this experiment plays out, one truth is clear: the NFL will never look the same again. Lamar Jackson in a Patriots uniform is not just a signing. It is a seismic event that will be remembered, debated, and analyzed for years to come. The buzz is deafening, and the league is on notice. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our New England Patriots, be sure to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.